Good afternoon by now. I'm going to talk to you about fatty acid profiling of copepods to meet 3 certain SDGs. The first one, no hunger, climate action, and life below water. Let's first talk about microalgae. Why are they so important? They have the unique ability to synthesize certain omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which are actually very important to all marine life and also to humans. They've been linked to cell development, to decreases in diseases, and even decreases in cancer. They're eaten by primary consumers, such as copepods, and they serve as energy vectors. So they make sure that fatty acids are available to all other living organisms in the marine trophic web. Now, what happens to these fatty acids when stressors are applied? Stressors such as elevated temperatures. We've done some experiments where we incubate copepods on different elevated temperatures, and then we have a look at their fatty acid profiles. What we saw is that they have the tendency to decrease over time. Now, this needs verification still because our first experiments didn't show any significant data, so we did some backup experiments, and unfortunately for you guys and for me, the data is coming in next week, so I cannot present if, in fact, we have some significant results here. Now, it can be argued that temperate benthic copepods are actually, they have a really high temperature range, so that means that maybe they're not really experiencing a lot of stress because they live in winter in 0-degree water and in summer in 24-degree water. So that's why we also want to look at tropical copepods. That's why I went to Ecuador and I redid this experiment as well. Also, the results of this will be coming in next week, so more on that next year. We also want to include pH in the coming up experiments, and we also want to do some analyses with chemical pollutants such as metals. Now, you might be wondering, what about no hunger, right? Because you know climate action, all right, that was in there. Life below water, obviously. Well, coastal communities, especially in development countries, they're actually really dependent on seafood for the uptake of their daily nutrition. So that means if we can indeed prove that fatty acids decrease due to stressors, then this might be a problem for people living there and depending on this food. Let's take Ecuador, for example. The largest city in Ecuador is Guayaquil, and Guayaquil has over 3 million people who are living there along the Guayas River estuary. There's a lot of banana agriculture, shrimp, aquaculture, a lot of big industries, so the estuary there has a lot of problems with stressors. Now, it is also home to one of the largest mangrove ecosystems on the Pacific coast of Latin America. And not just animals live there, but actually there are also local communities, fisheries communities, that are living in the mangroves in small villages, and they are dependent on these food sources. They're eating fish, they're also scraping oysters off of the mangrove trees, as you can see here, and they're collecting mangrove crabs. So all of these people, they're dependent on the nutritious value of all of these things in their ecosystem. So what we've been doing is we've been providing them with workshops as well, where we're actually telling them how their ecosystem works exactly, what kind of stressors are there, because a lot of them are not aware of climate change, ocean acidification. They're not aware that Guayaquil is causing a lot of huge stressors on their ecosystem, so they don't really know what's happening when they're not catching quite as much fish as they hope to catch. So yeah, we're hoping to continue this work. I'm sorry I couldn't present you with any results just yet. That's for the coming 5 years, let's say. But the take-home message here is that climate change and chemical pollutants are having an impact on the fatty acid profiles of the small animals and the microalgae at the base of the marine food web. And this can potentially also cause harmful impacts on the marine resources and the nutritional value of seafood or commercial seafood. So I would like to thank everyone who contributed here and hopefully more next year. Thank you.